My name is Mohit Pande, and I'm really excited to be amongst all of you today. I was sitting in the interesting panel discussion a while back, and it was interesting to see how the discussion was really offline or online, or offline and online. But I think one thing which was amply clear was that we cannot ignore the impact of technology today, and retail is really in the heart and center of all of this disruption which is happening today. So I'm going to spend the next 10 odd minutes talking to you about how the technology landscape is really changing, how the consumer is changing, the role of retail and how it is getting impacted, and how as a technology platform provider we could offer solutions for retail to take advantage of this disruption. So you would see, the title of this presentation is Moment, Not Marathon, and this is really related to the fact that the shopper today is really changing, right? We are not looking at a scenario where shoppers today go on to a mall, or shopping is a big, large marathon experience. Shopping today happens in moments. You have a powerful instrument called the smartphone today, which you probably use when you're in the car, in the train, while watching TV, during a discussion, during social chats. And we are all talking about products, what we want to buy, listening about brands, thinking about from where to buy, what are the prices, and so on and so forth. So it is those micro moments which kind of are leading to the retail segment really being reimagined. So like I said, today we are right in the middle of a big revolution, and it's interesting that this is happening during our times, right? Internet penetration is increasing significantly. In a country like India of 1.2, 1.3 billion people, we have about 350 million people who have access to internet. There are about between 175 to 200 million smartphone users in the country today. We've just become the second largest smartphone user base in the world. We just surpassed US. By 2017, almost all internet access, all people who access the internet would be using smartphone as well. In a country like India, what is also most interesting, and the speaker before me just spoke about that, was that India is actually skipping a generation. So 65% of the people today access internet only through smartphones. Now that is an interesting play which is happening, and that leads to some of the challenges which the retailers are facing today. Whether we like it or not, today we are seeing that the consumer spending is fluctuating. We are seeing that the foot traffic into stores is being challenged. But on the other hand, that's also an opportunity, because like we said, that technology doesn't really mean that online shoppers will only buy from online. But really, stores today are expected to be an extension of the brand's identity. You are supposed to interact with your customer across all channels of communication. You are supposed to help him stay engaged with you across all your channels of selling. People in the stores are getting changed as well. They are expected to be digital associates. They are expected to be digitally savvy. Your audience today, a lot of your audience today is really the millennials who are connected with technology, who are very tech savvy in their own personal lives. To walk into something which kind of doesn't reflect their personality means that you're probably losing a chance to influence them as well. This leads to changing consumer behavior in this age as well, right? And we spoke a lot in the panel discussion, really today. We have, I spoke about the phenomena of ROPO, right? Which is really research offline but purchase online. So you like a new smartphone, you want to go and check it out into a showroom, but you figure out that your online retailer is giving you a better price and you go and order it. Probably sometimes within the store, you place an online order. Then there's the other piece of research online, but go and purchase offline. This is very true for high engagement purchases like motor vehicles. When you go to buy a car, you have probably done your research enough to figure out comparisons, prices, which model of the car you want to buy, and are probably as, if not more, informed than the store associate who is probably going to sell that car to you. There's a great example of how 70% of the Best Buy's revenues are actually influenced by research which people do on bestbuy.com. In fact, Nordstrom in the US was surprised. They had launched an app which they thought people would use to order online, but they figured out that most of the people were using that app within the Nordstrom store. So instead of approaching a sales associate, they would actually use the app and figure out about models, prices, and so on and so forth. The most simplest thing today is really around location awareness. So the mobile phone really is an extension of our personal selves today. It knows who we are, it knows where we are, and it probably knows what we are doing, which means that it probably knows that if I'm in a car or I'm walking or I'm at a particular geographical location. Today, just to kind of find out where the next Big Bazaar store is or where can I find a good coffee shop in Powai in Mumbai, I probably go and search on a map or just do a plain Google search. The fact that your business is not listed or is not visible online means that you have probably lost a possible customer just because he could not figure you out where everybody else is and you're not. So these are some of the changes which are happening, which are leading to the new mental model. Earlier selling was really, really simple. You could create a stimulus. You did print advertising, you did television advertising, or digital. You got the consumer into your store. Your biggest job was to ensure that the shelves are stocked. And that was the first moment of truth where the consumer really interacted with your product. He bought the product and went back home, where the second moment of truth happened, where his experience with the product would happen. And that experience determined whether the customer came back to you, and that was the customer life cycle. But the new concept of the zero moment of truth is really disrupting the traditional mental model of purchases. A customer today is thinking about your product probably when he's watching a movie, or whether he's in a train, or whether he's commuting somewhere. He wants to buy something, he's probably tweeting about it, he's reading about it, he's talking to his friends and family on social media to get an impression. So he already has an experience with your brand before he walks into your store. And when he walks into your store, that's not the first, that's probably the second moment of truth. And if that store is not an extension of the brand which the consumer has already thought about, you are again missing a chance to engage that customer in a nice way. And from there, the customer buys the product. You need to ensure that you are not just helping them make that decision in the store, but you're also probably ensuring that he makes the purchase decision, which means forms of payment. Do you take cash? Do you take credit card? Do you take wallets? Do you take debit cards? Are all available to you. Because if you're not doing that, the store next door is doing that. If you're not doing it, definitely the online version of some store is doing that. And when the customer comes back and experiences the product, is when he starts talking about it more often than not for a negative experience on social media. And we heard our earlier speakers really talk about how large companies, brand-conscious companies, do take social media really, really seriously. And that chatter on social media becomes the zero moment of truth for someone else, for your next customer. So this is the new mental model, and at the heart of this is really the technology. So the new realities of business are, very, very simple. You have to be always open, always available. When your customers are, they are everywhere. They are shopping at all times. They are thinking about you at all times. So you have to be always open, always available. You cannot be restricted by just opening more stores or bigger stores. I think the days of spending or outspending your competitor to have a showroom in a better real estate or a better locality or a more visible area will get you more sales. I think that correlation is slowly dwindling. And this, I'm just talking about with just the advent of internet and smartphones. Add to it the Internet of Things when it starts coming in. When devices start talking to devices, the amount of data and the impact of technology which can happen on your consumers and on your related sales is going to be just immense. So essentially, the underlying factor is that you must win all traffic, whether it is online, whether it is virtual, whether it is physical. The bigger thing here is also not just about influencing your customer, but it's also about how do you change as an organization. It is about how would you build a culture in your organization, because we are not just talking about startups in this room here today. We are not just talking about online businesses. I'm assuming that most of the businesses here are businesses who have been in the business of retail for a while, and are probably not, all of them are not online. So essentially it means that in the new world order, you will need to tune your organization to be more agile. You'll have to see that your culture, your people, you're hiring the right kind of people, engaging them and retaining them as well. And hence your internal processes also need to be attuned that way, that they are at least as flexible, if not more, than what your customers are used to. You would need to use technology which is better than what your customers used to. In our personal lives, we all use the best smartphones, we have the best connectivity, we share, we tweet. But in our organizations, you know, we are probably 10 years behind. You know, where we spoke, you know, on the panel discussion today about how the cost of technology can be prohibitive for an online business. That paradigm is totally changing, and we need to adopt that paradigm. So we must bridge the digital divide. And the digital business, according to us, are a little bit different from those who are not. So one is that do you have it in you to really master the digital marketplace, which is really that are you using scale, the technology, to be able to reach out to your customers as and when they are. It's all about, you know, not just having an app or not just having a website, but really, you know, being present across all mediums, you know, where your customers would probably look for you. But also important is really to have a digital workplace, and that is the piece which I just spoke about your organization. Are you using the collective intelligence which all parts of your organizations are generating, whether it's your storefront, whether it's your inventory, whether it's your customer, whether it's your sellers in your aisle? There's a lot of data being generated. Are you able to take all of that data and make sense about that? We all hire smart people, but do you give them a chance to come out with a great idea and convert that idea into action faster than what your competitor is? Right? Today, a year or 2 years in this world is a huge time span. Collaborative, mobile, real-time, it's not just your employees, but it's really your suppliers, your vendors, your designer, and everybody else, and you need to have a real-time collaboration with them. Data, somebody mentioned that in God we trust, for everything else get us data. So data is the king, and what you are able to make out of data, and do you have the technology to be able to do that, is what will define your success. And really technology is intuitive. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to be able to implement some of these things for your employees and for your customers. Consumer technologies which can be used in enterprises is the way to go forward here. And it's not just